At session 1, Turning Waste into Wealth, Advancing Circular Economy for a Resilient Tomorrow, we have invited esteemed speakers to share their policymaking perspectives for each country. Now, allow me to hand over the floor to our moderator, Dr. Shin Won-Tae, Program Manager of PEMSEA. Thank you very much, Dr. Shin.
Thank you very much. And welcome to session one. Before we proceed, I'd like to thank Ambassador Kim Tae-shin, the Secretary General of ASEAN Korean Center, for inviting to this important event. We are very happy to be part of this important event and share our knowledge and learn from other countries. So this session one is actually table the sixth presentation. We have a mixture of presenters, one from NGO and three from the government, and one from private sector and one from research. So what we want to know is how we can turn the waste into wealth. Actually, when you see this waste, waste is something we call it no value, right? And we are talking about no value thing into wealth. Wealth is something you put it in your pocket. How we can do it? And have you ever heard about the paper crisis? Huh? And how about metal crisis or any other crisis? But we all hear about the plastic nowadays, right? Because you know why? Among the waste, plastic is really hard to turn into wealth. So with all other materials, like even biodegradable, we can put it into feed, right? And the fertilizer. But matters, we just sell it to the junk shop and we get some pocket money. So what we are talking about turning waste into wealth, we are trying to tackle the plastic issues actually, because this plastic creating lots of problem and we want to solve it. So international community is now talking about it, right? Have you heard about it? But we are tackling very difficult issues because this what I call it economic conundrum or conundrum, what so it's so to say, because it's really challenging. You know, I'm managing a ODA project funded by the Minister of Oceans and Fisheries of our Korea. It's like a $9 million, and we are tackling the plastic issues in two countries, Philippines and Timor Leste. I visited Timor Leste last week, and then I found that it's a really dire situation because Timor Leste there's nothing, not just the plastic. Solid waste is non-existence. So how we can turn the waste into wealth is really challenging. In terms of the plastic, we are utilizing a lot, but what our projection is that whether we like it or not, it will reach the sky. You know, the only sky's the limit. Why? Because this is so bounded by our life. We cannot really separate plastic into from our life. So what shall we do? And stop using the plastic is really impossible. Next, please. Because this is what I call reversal of a civilization. Our civilization now is bound by the plastic. We use see in this mango produced in the Philippines, thanks to plastic we are consuming in Korea. Otherwise, you cannot sell mango to Korea like this, right? So we are utilizing this plastic very much and it's very convenient. So if we go back, if we remove plastic, our civilization will be much hampered. So we don't want to that happen. And violation of second law of thermodynamics. If you know the chemistry, what thermodynamics means. And against the economic principle, because this raw material is so cheap, our recycling effort will be really challenging. So what can we do next, please? So discussion of global plastic treaty now is ongoing because not other waste we are easily handled, but this plastic we cannot handle by our economic principle because collected plastic has intrinsically no value. And we have to make value, right? How we can do it. So discussion started from 2022 to 2025. What is the result? Nothing yet, right? We are trying to keep on producing something, what they say is a legally binding treaty. Okay, Gilbert, tell me, is it possible? You know, I'm very sorry to say, but it's almost impossible. But we will not gonna have a binding commitment, but we will have a one way or another. We will have a treaty, but without the commitment. But anyway, we are trying now. But don't expect too much because it's against the economy. That's why you, the government, have to come in and need to commit. We are trying to turn waste into wealth. How? How? So the government, have to think very carefully and very hard how we can do it. The only solution is that you collect the plastic and you have to give a value. How? Right? Next, please. So, lots of we Coca-Cola will come tomorrow. So we in the Philippines, we have a nice facility. Coca-Cola and Indorama is a venture company. I don't know why, but they set up a nice butter to butter recycling facility. It doesn't make any money, but Coca-Cola committed. Coca-Cola committed, and then what we do is we gather the plastic, and they are making plastic butter. This is a several millions of dollar investment committed by the Coca-Cola. And what we are trying to show is that recycling is working, but economically not right. Still not right. And it is the government job to make it right. We have a limitation. Our private sector has a limitation because the private sector is running based on the economic principle. But right now, the plastic is not running based on the economic principle. I'm very sorry to say. So that's why the government has a big role to make it economically viable. So let's make it. We have other solutions. And this session, we will hear some story how the governments are making things from waste to wealth. There are several opportunities. So this ASEAN waste market is like 9.5 billion and it will grow. So there is a money involved and we have several options and then we have some funding opportunities. As ADB is a funding blue finance. So this is a part of the blue finance. And we have a blended finance. Private sector, like Coca-Cola, is willing to commit. So why not capture that opportunity? Next, please. And this is advertisement for PEMSEA. We have some program in PEMSEA. So we are operating in 14 countries in ASEAN region, and we receive fund and we are implementing the government project in the countries, and we are guiding the country what to do. Some successful, some failed. I'm very sorry, but this plastic is really hard to tackle. Next, please. So this is a Minister of Oceans and Fisheries. They don't want to have plastic entering into the water body, seawater. So they provided this $9 million to address the marine plastic issues in Philippines and Timor-Leste. And this is running. I'm managing that project. And we have a GF funding of IRBM river basin. We are tackling the river basin management so that waste will not go into the water body and other project. And then, ocean, we are collaborating with ocean. Is it finished? Already finished. But anyway, we work with the ocean also. And then ASEAN, Norwegian, we have. So we have patches of efforts we are doing to support the government. Next. And we have publication, and you visit our webpage. And next. Okay, summary. Let's shape a circular, resilient, and inclusive ASEAN. This is very grandiose phrase. It's very, very hard to achieve. So that's why the government officials here, you need to learn and you need to make this happen. When you go back, right? So without further ado, let me invite from Brunei, Darussalam, Khairunnisa for her presentation on what Brunei Darussalam is working on to make waste into wealth. Welcome.
Thank you so much, Dr. Shin, for that very interesting introduction and really painting the hard reality of the topic. Unfortunately, it's very unfortunate that I am your first speaker because number one, I am not from the government. So I cannot really tell you from the government perspective. And number two, I don't have the solution and I don't have the answers. So I think the question is still a big question mark over my head as well. But I am here. But I hope that I'll be able to share at least some paint some picture for you about what Brunei is currently doing. So the session this afternoon is mainly for the public sector. Again, I'm not from the government, but we from the NGO, we work very closely with the government agencies, and we do advocate for various policies, including on circular economy. So my presentation is going to explore Brunei Darussalam's journey toward a circular economy and sustainable waste management. Circular economy in Brunei, it's still in an infant stage. So turning waste into wealth, it's not about just recycling, as what Dr. Shin said, but how can we actually use this to support GDP of the country? And to understand circular economy in Brunei, we also have to look into Brunei's economic situation in general. So Brunei's economy has long relied on oil and gas, as you know, but diversification is underway. Sectors like agriculture, tourism, and ICT are growing. However, agriculture contributes just 1% of GDP, highlighting the need for sustainable practices. The circular economy model is key to reducing waste and maximizing resources. So Brunei's economic reform is focusing on these 5 areas, which is downstream oil and gas, food, services, tourism, and information and communications technology. So we face significant waste challenges. On average, each person generates 1.4 kilogram of waste per day. So that is one of the highest rates in Southeast Asia. So with a population of around 450,000, this amounts to approximately 630 tons of waste daily. The number may seem big or small. It's really relation to the size of the population and the country. And you know, Brunei is a very small country. So the volume actually is a problem for us because in terms of land usage and all that. Unfortunately, 70% of waste ends up in landfills, with only 11.3% is recycled and 2% composted. So these statistics show room for improvement in recycling and waste reduction. So Brunei's shift to circular economy to minimize waste, as I've mentioned, is to so it's focusing mainly in these sectors, which is agriculture, fisheries, and forestry. So this model is crucial for reducing reliance on non-renewable energy and addressing climate change. So in terms of emerging trends within Brunei, so it's more towards adopting circular principles in composting and upcycling, exploring waste to energy technologies. At the moment, our waste, we just simply, well, in simple terms, we just dump them in a landfill. So Brunei is looking into exploring waste to energy. So it's still currently under in progress, but also talking about producer responsibility and also implementing smart technologies. So these are just the trends that have been discussed m- many times in dialogues, conferences, conversations with NGOs. But at the end of the day, the question mark is always how and how much. And in terms of agriculture, so Brunei is exploring regenerative farming and greenhouse techniques to boost sustainability and reduce food imports. So these practices would align with circular economic principles, but usually, like things like this, it's usually spearheaded by the private sector. So private sector plays a very strong role in exploring new technologies, and then government provides them with the support needed. We also see some development in the fisheries industry. For example, they're adopting aquaponics and recirculating systems for sustainability. So these two projects are still quite new. So we have yet to see the results or the impact of these solutions. When it comes to forestry, this is where Brunei is quite strong in terms of preserving its land use. So efforts include 26 26,000 trees campaign and a goal to plant 500,000 trees by 2035 under the Brunei Darussalam National Climate Change Policy. So we're looking into exploring the carbon credit market and things like that, but of course it's still undergoing several process at the moment. When it comes to renewables, we are looking into investing in solar panels. Recently, they have converted a piece of land that used to be a landfill, and now it's being converted into a 30 megawatt solar plant. So I guess that's literally turning waste into wealth, no? Because you're converting landfill into a solar panel, right? That's one example. Okay, so tourism. Okay, I think tourism is like one of the great ways to kind of work with the economy through not just generating revenue but also supporting the local community. So this is where Brunei is going green with different practices such as ecotourism and community-based tourism. But of course, challenges remain. Brunei, again, being a country that is heavy reliant on oil and gas, discussions about circular economy sometimes do not really get very far. There's always the big question mark again in terms of the resources that we have, the technical expertise. But of course, it's not something that's being put to the side. It's something that we continuously have conversations on to see where and how we can reach that stage. Of course, there are some other basic limitations, for example, infrastructure, but most importantly, sometimes it's also the public resistance as well. We can implement as many programs as we want, but if the public or the people do not want to change their behavior, they do not want to change their what they're used to, what they're comfortable with, it's going to be very difficult to make that change. Brunei, again, because we have a very high car ownership. There's this joke where people say like, "Oh, one family would have like 5 cars, and there's only 3 people living in that house." It's just because it's just so cheap. People own cars. So if you want to talk about switching or shifting to public transport, that's going to be quite challenging in terms of getting the public to adopt that new behavior. In terms of the policy landscapes, we do have some. Sorry, we are guided by several key legal and strategic frameworks, as you can see from the screen. It's yeah, and of course, when it comes to waste management, it's again the question of how do you make money from waste recycling. We do not really have a big recycling industry in Brunei, but private sector is doing their part as well to support the waste management industry. And some of the practices that we have to minimize or reduce waste is through awareness campaigns, banning plastic bags. Organizations like ours also work hand in hand with government to tackle waste issue in our coastal areas and river by organizing events and mobilizing community and conducting education and awareness programs. So recently, the university also established Center for Green Technology and Sustainability Research. So we're looking into the academia to also come forward with their proposals and suggestions as well. So key drivers is definitely more towards policy and legislative framework, enhanced and effective enforcement, awareness and education, as well as international cooperation. So in summary, um, Brunei is making strides in circular economy and waste management, but challenges like infrastructure, public engagement persist. So continued innovation and collaboration will be the key. So basically, it goes back to the first question: how do we turn waste into wealth? That still remains the big question. Thank you so much for the time.
Thank you very much, Miss Khairunnisa. Very concise and succinct presentation. And we see that how rich countries are handling the solid waste issues, right? We money is all sorts of evil, but without money is evil itself. So we have to have a money, but before we do that, we have to do ourselves, right? And then next series of country, we middle income country, how when there's no money available, how we can do ourselves, and then we have to position ourselves very carefully. And let me invite Mr. Arief Sumargi from Indonesia, how Indonesia responding to this waste into wealth issue. Mr. Sumargi, please.
Thank you, Dr. Won. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Magandang hapon go. 안녕하세요. Many people, other people here, yeah. I think. It's a pleasure to be here. I'm very happy to be able to join with this seminar. Thank you for invitation to ASEAN and Korea Center. Indonesia is a large country, I think. Different with Brunei because we have 14,000, I think. If I give you illustration, if you fly from Jakarta to Seoul, maybe about 6 or 7 hours, it's the same if you fly from Jakarta to Papua Eastern Island in Indonesia. It's the same. it's too large, I think. It's not easy, I think, for manage solid waste management in Indonesia. But we have 540 regencies and cities, and we delegate authority. But the problem is local government, they don't have budgeting for enough for solid waste management. Just 0.6% from the local government budgeting. It's not easy to manage solid waste in local government. And we from the central government give support for city with 1,000 generate tons per day, and we have for budgeting, I think. Maybe we start from the we have law number 18 2008 concerning waste management, I think, promoting TR, reduce recycle approach, and then mandates to the end of open dumping activities at landfills. And then by this regulation number 12 2025 concerning the national medium term development plan for 2025 to 2029 has been stipulated, which contain target for the waste management sector. Indonesia is committed to managing 100% of its waste by the end of 2029 because we have strategic baseline percentage of waste managed in Indonesia just 39.017% until. And then target in 2025, percentage of waste managed 51.21%. Target in I think is target in 2029 percent managed 100. This is existing condition of solid waste management in Indonesia. Waste generation in 2023, 56.63 million tons a year. And then managed waste, 39.01% or 22.09 million tons. Unmanaged managed, this is a problem for us. 60.99% or 34.54 million tons. And then dumping landfill, 21.85%. And then throw into the environment like open burning, illegal dumping, throw into water bodies, 39.14%. This is waste composition. Food waste is very good, very big, many 30.87%. And then plastic with our topic, 19.16%. How about waste sources? Household, I think 40.08%. And then commercial sector, on office and retail market, and it's what percentage. This is the condition of landfills at Indonesia. Open dumping, I think, there are 343 landfill sites in Indonesia are open dumping. The waste accumulation that is disposed in landfill throughout Indonesia, assuming 30 years of operation, is approximately 1.72 billion tons. This is a parameter, I think, current condition, prevention was little, and then all of waste to disposal open dumping. And then we want to ideal pyramid, packing the design by manufacturer, producer, operating. Retailers do not provide single-use plastic bag, and then shopping without packaging, reuse lifestyle, and then recycle of inorganic waste, composting, black soldier flies, and then waste to electricity, biogas, RDF, and SRF. And then residue bring to the sanitary and colonial landfill. This waste management approach, persuasive, conducting discussion with all relevant parties and both government and non-government institutions to synergize in solving waste management problem comprehensively, and then conducting socialization and collaboration with education institution in order to carry out behavioral transformation effort for all elements of society through communication, information, and education. Preventive, establishing national policy to isolate the resolution of waste management problem, for example, by stopping the import of recycled plastic, raw material, and recycled paper raw material, and encouraging the optimization of the use of recycled raw material from within this country. And then implementing extended producer responsibility, because we have regulation, Ministry of Regulation for reducing waste with from producer, I think. And then all stakeholders are required to immediately establish policies to resolve waste problem according to their respective rules, especially at the local government level. And then curative, implemental monitoring, evaluation, and supervision of landfill that are still managed as open dumping site. And then warning letter has been issued to 343 region head Yeah, the result, Indonesia are still open dumping landfill. And then building industrialization of waste management, industrialization I think di sini, here, of waste management using environmental friendly and low emission technology accompanied by professional management. And then repressive law enforcement against waste management action that cause environmental pollution. And then we can see technology solution for waste management in Indonesia, small and communal scale. The second for high value waste, maybe we can build. Yeah, we have built about 14,000 waste bank in Indonesia. And then composting, black soldier flies or maggot or biogas. And then medium and large scale, material recovery facilities, and refuse to fuel, waste to energy, and when waste to electricity to sanitary landfill. Waste to energy, second asasita President Prabowo, strengthening the country defense and security system and encouraging national independence through self-sufficient in food, energy, water, sharing economy, digital economy, green economy, and blue economy. Waste to electricity policy development included in the list of national strategic project indication for 2025 and 2029. Presidential regulation number 12, 2025 concerning the national medium term development from development plan from 2025 to 2029. Then waste and landfill mining to electricity, and then biomass, refuse fuel, biogas, and synthetic fuel pyrolysis. And then potential waste process in 32 waste to electricity policy need 16.5 million tons. And then electricity potential generate from 33 waste to electricity facilities 1,132 megawatt. Integrated data of solid waste management with artificial intelligence for enhancing the system with community-based and landfill facilities and marine litter plastic and industrial estate solid waste management, and then waste to energy, and then research center and solid waste management activities. Integrated waste management from upstream to downstream. Potential cooperation area, waste management in upstream, conducting behavior transformation effort for all elements of society through communication, information, education related to waste sorting and management, as sourced by integrating waste management substance into the education curriculum and condition increase in a number of Adviata school. We have education with solid waste management with Adviata school. We call Adviata school. And then require every source of waste, household producers, and business and or activity managers to sort and process waste at the source or close to the source. C, optimizing the implementation of extended producer responsibility in the manufacturing, retail, and food and beverage service sector. Minister of Environment of LC regulation, we have regulation for producers. And then implementing the one waste bank, solid waste bank unit policy in each neighborhood unit. We have Rukun Warga, I think for community, and one area, one waste bank program. Optimizing waste management at recycle center facilities, waste bank, recycle center, TPSCR, recycle center, I think like recycle center, and each region. Facilitating market access for recycled products and other waste processing products, compost, REF, and mega solid price, and then mapping needs at developing environmental educators in the region. Ensure that local governments report waste management data in their region to the National Waste Management Information System. Management in downstream, improving the service of separate waste collection and transportation that reach all area in the region and distributed that the waste to waste processing facilities, building industrialization of waste management by developing waste processing facilities that implement environmentally friendly and low emission technology accompanied by professional management, including the construction of waste processing installation into electricity fuel facilities and organic waste processing facilities. See, organizing landfill in the region so that they can be managed use the sanitary landfill method and only accept residue. Controlling illegal dumping and open burning of waste. And then improving waste management governance in the region includes strengthening regulation and law enforcement. I think the law enforcement is very, very, very important. And then improving institution and supporting funding in waste management. Maybe that is my presentation. Thank you for your attention. I give you to Mr. Won.
Thank you very much, Mr. Arief. As you can see, Mr. Arief, he presented the legal basis and policy, technology, and even Indonesia has finance. We call it Blue Sukuk, right? You know, they fund the Blue Economy project through Blue Sukuk. So Indonesia has is a progressing economy, and they have a quite set of policy and everything about the circular economy. But it's quite shocking to hear that a management waste is like 61%. We have a long, long way to go. First, we need to manage our waste in a controlled manner. So circular economy start from there. So Indonesia, has a long way to go. So as a government officer, Mr. Mr. Arief, you have a lot of things to do, right? And our next speaker is from Malaysia. Let's hear about the Malaysian government. He's from investment. So let's see what the investment package he's bringing to inform us what opportunity comes. Please, Mr. Tengku.
Thank you, Dr. Shin. And no, I don't have an investment proposal here, but rather about how to create an ecosystem where investment can flourish for CE. Anyway, first of all, thank you very much for inviting Malaysia, Ministry of Investment Trade Industry to this program, and thank you to the ASEAN-Korean Center as well for hosting and sponsoring us here. So I think the first question that might come from all of you is that what is the Ministry of Investment Trade Industry doing in this room? So most of you are from at least environment area or in solid waste management area, and then we have here. So MITI is in Malaysia is the one that has established the circular economy policy framework for the manufacturing sector. And I think it's quite clear why we need a CE policy for the manufacturing sector, because obviously whatever that's been recycled, I mean, the idea of CE is that it goes back to the manufacturers. And secondly, MITI is involved in industrial policies. So when we develop industrial policies, previously or historically, the industrial ministries have always been focusing on industrial development. So we do not really take into account the environmental aspect in driving policy of industry. So usually when we develop industrial policies, it goes like we start to think about what are, we look at the sectors that are involved, for example, automotive sector. So we start to think about what kind of intervention that the government needs to do to develop those industries. So that has always been how it's been done. But until when we come up with the new industrial master plan, with Malaysia's latest policy that was published in 2023, that is for the first time we incorporate environmental development as part of the industrial development. So we recognize the need for the industry to transition to a greener industry, to be more resource efficient, in order to continue to be competitive. That's one. And secondly is because we have done some calculation and we noticed that, if we continue to do business as usual, we are on the way to extract 1 billion ton of, resources by 2030. And that is just not sustainable. I mean, not sustainable for the environment and also not sustainable for Malaysia as a manufacturing country. And then we will not be able to manufacture if we have nothing to become an input, right? And secondly is that we recognize that as countries mature in terms of circular economy, the more the manufacturers will be involved in the process. So at the beginning stage of countries, the focus will be more on the waste management side. But as you progress, the types of policies implemented will become a lot more upstream. So you start to think about how do you distribute and how do you produce goods. And a mature CE will also consider the design of the product and also how can you increase recycle input into the manufacturing process. Right. So under Malaysia's industrial master plan, we have defined a circular economy model as one that promotes an industrial economy that is restorative or regenerative by design, using a closed-loop material flow in the economic system. So this includes designing products that use less material and that can be recycled, and also reusing waste as a source of feedstock. So we don't just look at the environmental perspective. We also recognize, I think our colleague has presented just now, that there's opportunity for investment, and we see that the global FDI on CE actually grew a lot, especially in 2021-2022, of almost 6.4 billion, and a lot of values in plastic recycling and also other sectors like metals and minerals, electrical and electronics, and etc. And then when we were trying to develop the policy, we also tried to do benchmarking and to see where we are, where Malaysia is at. And we can see in terms of policy design, there's... Okay, so, when we're talking about policy design, do we have policies related to design, production, distribution, things like that? And we can see that regionally we are at the quite low in terms of maturity, but quite aligned with regional peers. So about in the ASEAN region, I think we are at almost at the same level, but you can see that the more developing countries, the green ones, have more mature policies surrounding all this level of value chain. I think South Korea is a bit up there. That's the reason why they are here trying to support us. Thank you again. In terms of, and we don't just look at the policy readiness, we also look at the indicators in terms of how much of circular material that we're using in our production process, what is our resource productivity, the amount of industrial waste generated, and gross value added of CE into the economy and jobs. So we can see also, and the same again, that Malaysia is a bit on par with our regional peers, but there's a lot of room of improvement. So the more developed countries has the higher the green bar here shows that they are using a lot better, higher circular material use rate compared to Malaysia, that's only at 0.4%, I think, in 2019. So the reason of doing this benchmarking is also to think about what kind of policy intervention that we can incorporate in our policy to support the transition. Right. So our framework focuses on the role of manufacturers. So if you look at the material flow in the economy, it's basically you can simplify into 3 levels, right? So what is the input? Are you the input? What kind of materials that goes into the manufacturing process? How do you process those materials in terms of the design, and also how you distribute them? And then once you have produced, then you produce 2 things. One is the product itself that goes to the consumer, and the other one is the industrial waste. So the way to close the loop is to ensure that whatever that's been consumed can be processed, that it goes back into as an input to the manufacturers, and also the industrial waste is also managed in such a way that it can go back into the economy. Then we have a closed loop system. Right. So this is basically the simple design of our circular economy policy framework. So when we develop, we make it clear that we wanted it to be round, so that it makes it speaks on circular economy. So we have, based on just now, we have basically just 3 focus areas: the input, the process, and also the output. That is our aspiration for the manufacturing sector. And to do that, we have created some targets. It is based on where Malaysia is in terms of, circular input, in terms of circular material use rate. So we have a 2030 target. For example, for circular material use rate, we are targeting by 2030 that we will be able to increase the usage by 4 times. In terms of resource productivity, we want to increase by 30% of every US dollar generated per ton of raw material. We want to reduce industrial waste intensity because, like I said just now, our idea is to also, contribute to waste reduction rather than just, processing them. And finally, we wanted to have some socio-economic impact where there's gross value added from circular economy activities can increase 3 times versus current, and also the jobs in CE can be increased. So to meet those aspirations, we have also come up with 14 types of initiatives, and these 14 initiatives are being mapped into the 3 things that I mentioned just now in terms of the target: circular input, efficient process, and also sustainable output. So I'm not going to go through this laundry list, but basically it's just to give you an understanding that if you are going to think about how we can work together, then perhaps you can look at the initiatives that we have in plan and see where you can come in. But the idea is that if you want to generate, or we want to create wealth out of the waste, then these are some of the initiatives that we have in plan. We have 14 initiatives. 7 goes directly to the 3 aspirations that we have, and that's another 7 that we call enablers. So one of the things that we realized when we're developing the policy is that we need to have a lot more enabling environment to make CE even work. For example, we do not even have a true definition. What does it mean by circular economy activities? Right now, we're just using proxy, definition like recycling is CE. But as you can see, there's a lot more. There's how you design products. It needs, if we don't have data that says that how is this company doing CE in terms of designing a product, we don't have that. So we need to create those kind of data. We need to create certifications. And we need to also have basically a robust metric and tracking mechanism. Otherwise, we will not be able to really know where we are in terms of CE transition, right? Okay, just a little bit. I mean, this is basically what I've been done. My colleague from the Malaysian Recycling Alliance will tell a lot more tomorrow on EPR. But basically, the government is doing no. So before that, these things are already, a lot of them are being worked on. For example, the deployment of minimum circular content. We are working with, hopefully working with Switch Asia to look on the possibility of implementing minimum recycled content, because we believe that is very necessary to create the demand. We are also discussing on the promoting new and existing eco-industrial parks. So we believe, like right now, Malaysia is having a policy. We are developing a policy on eco-industrial parks, and we realize that future eco-industrial parks, we need to be able to address few things. First of all, if investment, basically in terms of driving investment, the question that will need to be answered is that if we are investing in your country, then is our material recyclable? That's number one. And if we are, basically using energy, is the energy renewable? And thirdly, is that if we are producing carbon, is our carbon mitigated or managed, right? And so basically, we are looking at having an eco-industrial park that addresses all these features, and definitely CE is central to that. Right. We are also thinking about developing a digital waste to value marketplace. And in fact, we are thinking about having that to think about whether or not that can be broadened at the regional level, so that we can really have trading of used stuff across borders. But of course, we understand that there's a lot of issues when it talks about regional level of collaboration. Right. Yeah. So, like I mentioned, we are looking at developing the EPR system, because we believe that this is the way to increase the recovery rate, which will support the manufacturers in increasing their recycled input. And then we are also, I mean, the Environment Ministry also working with one of our research industrial research institute, SIRIM, to develop the eco design regulations. So these are basically the two things that is being done. Right. So if you need to read up on our circular economy framework, then you can scan the barcode and have a look. I think that should be it. Thank you very much.
Mr. Tengku, you are economist or environmental?
International political economist.
Yeah. All right. See, economist, we don't understand. Now I'm environment engineer and I don't understand economist. But surely we understand there's something going on, right? He haven't, because economist, he just figure out the number. But what we see is that there's something going on, whether it's working or not. There's something going on, right? So we see Malaysia is a very progressing economy. They set up policy and ready to implement. Good luck. And we have to say that we wish you a luck in turning waste into wealth. So we will be going there. But let's not debunk the Korean situation, because Korean circular economy. I don't think we are, because 80% our waste we are burning. So is it circular economy? So we have to think again. Okay, so this is not because we have a situation that where we need to do that way, but we can do it other way, because America, they dump 90% of their waste. They don't do it because they have money, right? But we have situation that we you have to rely on. But in our Asian country, we have other resort things to do. So let's develop it. And it's very encouraging to see Malaysia preparing ambitious plan for circular economy. Thank you very much. And then let's hear from our own Philippines. Let me invite ASEC Gilbert Gonzales. He was EMB director, and I have to report to him about my project, because it was very hard to find him. Well, now I'm sitting together with him. I'm very happy to talk freely with him. Let me invite and then hear what Philippine government is up to for their circular economy. Ase Gonzales, please.
Thank you, Mr. Shin. Good afternoon. Well, actually, our Undersecretary, Yusek Jonas Leones, was supposed to do this presentation, but he has a very important engagement as well. So I was just informed yesterday. So please bear with me and and understand my shortcomings in this presentation. So it is a pleasure indeed for me to be here with you to discuss the policies and initiatives that the DNR, the Department of Environment and Natural Resources, is implementing in our pursuit of a circular economy. So, to begin with, I will provide a brief overview of the circular economy concept and highlight the ASEAN region's efforts to advance this principle, and outline the Philippine government's key initiatives, including the Extended Producer Responsibility Act of 2022. And additionally, I will share insights into the policies currently under development, with the hope of encouraging all participants here today to collaborate with us in making this vision a reality. Some of you may be familiar with a study published in 2021, which revealed concerning statistics of countries with the highest annual plastic emissions, significantly contributing to marine plastic pollution. The study indicates that river basins with high levels of artificial surfaces, such as urban pavements and drainage systems combined with short distances from source to coast and high precipitation rates, are more likely to emit substantial amounts of plastic waste into the ocean. Alarmingly, ASEAN member states are included in those that pollute the ocean. This underscores the urgent need for collective action within our region. Clearly, this is something we should be proud of the study, which pointed out that most plastic waste originates from land-based sources accumulating in terrestrial environments and progressively polluting inland ecosystems. This is why prevention, mitigation, and improved waste management policies covering waste reduction, collection, processing, and cleanups are essential for reducing plastic leakage into the ocean. So this is where a circular economy provides a viable solution. As defined in the EPR Act 2022, a circular economy is an economic model that creates value by extending the lifespan of products through improved design and servicing. It emphasizes the continual use of resources, ensuring that products, components, and materials return their highest utility and value through sharing, leasing, reuse, repair, refurbishment, and recycling. The Ellen MacArthur Foundation outlines three fundamental principles of a circular economy. One is to eliminate waste and pollution. Second is to circulate the products and materials. And third, regenerate nature. Transitioning to a circular economy requires decoupling economic activity from the consumption of finite resources. This systemic shift builds long-term resilience, unlocks business and economic opportunities, and provides environmental and social benefits. In 2021, the Association of Southeast Asian Nations, the ASEAN, adopted the framework for circular economy for the ASEAN Economic Community. This framework guides member states in achieving a resilient economy, resource efficiency, and sustainable growth. It positions ASEAN as a hub for circular innovation and directs significant investments towards circular initiatives. Even before adopting the framework, ASEAN nations have made strides towards circularity, particularly in plastic waste management, for example. In Thailand, they developed the roadmap on plastic waste management. In Indonesia, they introduced the roadmap to waste reduction in 2019, mandating recyclable plastic production and increased recycled content by 2029. And in Vietnam, they enforced an EPR policy in 2020, and in Malaysia, established the Plastic Sustainability Roadmap for 2021 to 2030. In the Philippines, our circular economy efforts align with the Sustainable Development Goals, particularly SDG 12, which is the Sustainable Consumption and Production, and SDG 13, Climate Action. Several key initiatives are shaping our transition. In 2020, the National Economic and Development Authority, the NEDA, released the Philippine Action Plan for Sustainable Consumption and Production, which serves as our guiding framework to influence and steer sustainable behavior and practices across sectors and levels of government by implementing policy reforms and set of actions from 2020 to 2040, following our vision in Ambition Nation 2040. In 2021, the DNR, through Memorandum Circular number 2021-10, adopted the National Plan of Action for the Prevention, Reduction, and Management of Marine Litter. I think there was a mention in the presentation this morning on the NAPOA ML, which is undertaken by I think it's a joint undertaking by the Philippine government and the Korean government. On national marine, I think Mr. Shin is involved there. Are you? Our National Marine Litter Framework Plan with a goal of zero waste to Philippine waters by 2040. In March 2022, the Philippines, along with 175 other countries, committed to develop a legally binding agreement on plastic pollution, which supports a transition to a circular economy, particularly for plastics. I will just run through this since most of you are already familiar with it. The Extended Producer Responsibility EPR was enacted into law on July 23, 2022. This law mandates plastic producers to take great responsibility for plastic packaging by ensuring its efficient management, reducing production and use of low reusability, low recyclability, and low retrievability plastic packaging, and achieving plastic neutrality through recovery and diversion schemes. I think Jess made mention about this in his presentation. On January 24, 2023, DNR Administrative Order number 2020-02 was issued and providing for the implementing rules and regulations of the EPR law. With this policy, we have established the mechanism for the registration of obliged enterprises, the mode of EPR programs which OES may adopt in their operations, and the compliance period and prohibited acts under the EPR law. On August 3, 2023, we launched the Loop Forward campaign, which aims to guide obliged enterprises through the registration process. We also introduced the EPR registry to standardize and streamline registration. On April 22, 2024, we then issued the Administrative Order number 2024-04, which provides for the compliance, reporting, and audit guidelines. Under the EPR law, this policy aims to provide guidance and templates to obliged enterprises, collectives, and producer responsibility organizations like the PARMs, and the respective independent third-party EPR compliance auditors in the submission of their EPR compliance report and audit report, and to serve as phase-in capacity and capability development mechanisms pending the adoption of uniform standards and accreditation rules. The EPR Act of 2022 not only aims to reduce plastic waste in the country, it also aims to provide social benefits, particularly in the inclusion of the informal waste sector in the solid waste management industry, social entrepreneurship and financial literacy programs for alternative livelihoods and capacity building for local government units, and other sectors for the implementation of a robust system on data recording, tracking, and reporting. Currently, through the Green Economy Program of the Philippines, GEPP, we are working in adopting a national circular economy framework for the Philippines. This framework offers a comprehensive strategy to guide sustainable practices and foster a circular economy by 2050. For the plastic sector, we are guided by the 20-year plan on minimizing and eventually phasing out all non-essential plastic products, replacing them with biodegradable, compostable, or recyclable alternatives, and achieving a closed-loop system for plastic production and eliminating plastic pollution from oceans and land through comprehensive waste management. While we are making progress, several barriers remain. The National Circular Economy Framework identifies 6 key challenges. 1. Economic challenges. This covers high upfront investment costs and cost ineffectiveness. 2nd, institutional challenges. Lack of supportive policies, limited enforcement, and other regulatory constraints. 3rd, technological and infrastructure challenges. Limited technological innovation, outdated infrastructure, technological literacy. 4th, knowledge, awareness, and organizational challenges. There is limited knowledge about circular economy principles and practices, organizational inertia, lack of industrial symbiosis, or mutual resource sharing between organizations, and also inadequate training and skill development in circular economy practices. 5th, habits and culture challenges. Resistance to change prevalent through away culture, lack of commitment and leadership. And 6, there are also sectoral challenges in sectors such as building and construction, food and beverage, textile, electronics, and manufacturing and healthcare. To successfully transition to a circular economy, it's essential to develop sector-specific strategies that address the unique needs and challenges of each industry. Tailoring partnerships to these specific sectors ensures effective implementation of circular economy practices. Investing in capacity building programs for stakeholders, particularly MSMEs and local communities. This will help develop technical skills, raise awareness, and foster knowledge sharing, laying the foundation of circular economy foundation. Innovation and financing are also critical to the transition. Public-private partnerships can attract investments and create financing models that support the widespread adoption of CE practices. And lastly, promoting awareness, public awareness and behavioral change is essential for long-term success. So I'd like to end this presentation by saying that the transition to a circular economy is not just an environmental necessity. It is an economic opportunity. We encourage all businesses here today to work with us and make circularity the norm, not the exception. So I think thank you for listening. Magandang hapon po sa inyo lahat.
Thank you very much, Assistant Secretary Gonzales. You know, I lived here in the Philippines for more than 16 years now. And you know what Asek Gilbert said, that the Philippines is preparing all the policies and implementing policy and regulation and methodologies and tools. And the EPR is a key instrument progressing the circular economy. We hope that the EPR law can fuel the circular economy. But our project is working at the 6 local sites, and then realities are quite different than what we are trying to achieve here. But we need a little bit time for this government policies permeate into the local area. So we are getting into it, and our ODA fund is helping to permeate the central policies into local. So let's hope that these policies will be working at the local level. Thank you very much, Asek Gonzales. And now we are heading into the wealthier countries, Singapore and Korea next. So let's hear what the richest country of Asia is doing for circular economy. Let me invite Mr. Ong Jin Keat from Singapore. He's from private sector.
Thank you very much. I don't know whether we are the richest in that sense. We are the smallest, that for sure. Nobody argues with that. We are so small. I mean, on the global stage, you can't find us. And maybe on ASEAN or Asia, we are the little red dot. It's tiny, all right? Okay. I think we all know the story about Singapore, so I will not, re-go. But in one generation, we have gone from, the third world to the first world. That's quite incredible. So you're looking at one of them. But a side note, I'm actually not an original Singaporean, so I'm a migrant from like 40 plus years ago. All right. So like many of the Singapore people, we are migrants. All right. And actually, say like 60 years ago, that's what Singapore was. All right. And now we are like that. Good. And maybe there are also drawbacks. All right. So sometimes we can be too smart for our own good. So in this case, I try to cover some parts of it. I have done work with government officials, our National Environment Agency. So obviously, I come from the private sector. Okay, that's the next slide, please. All right. So to be one of the problems is that we are a fast-growing society. So that's what we have. We're quite young in the 1990s. Then you can see the profile is changing. We are actually one of the fastest aging population, and that has a big problem. Our workforce is actually, changing, and quite frankly, you still need, workers. So in this case, for example, 1.7 million and becomes 6. That's like, almost a 4-5-fold increase. Okay, so you can see that in the first place, it doesn't come out so well. It's growing and growing, but now we're at a stage where we actually we need migrants, because I only have 2 kids. That's it. That's not enough, and it's actually 1 point something, so it's still not enough. All right, and so the first 1950s high growth, 65, sort of 2.5, and in the 2000s starts to decline. All right. Okay, so it's not so great. Next slide. Yeah. So, all right, this is a graph that I analyzed from Singapore's data, 1996. So if you look at it, the economy is fundamentally responsible for everything else. No economy, and you can see the effect here. Little circle. That's when we had COVID. So it actually went down. So, all right, the recycling rate also went down. So that's not so good. Okay, and you can see that even for our waste generation is literally proportional to our GDP. More growth, more waste. It's unavoidable. And over here at the recycling rate, we're actually going down. I've actually tried to tell our government guys, you're not doing a good job. So nobody has replied to me actually. All right. So, but you have to recognize that and try to do something. I know that they are actually trying to enact many policies and push it through, but again, the theory is different, and the practical bits are different. Okay, yeah. So the point is, we import almost everything. Right? You make things, you add value, then you sell, and for us, it's export. But you have to recognize, none of your waste that goes to the manufacturing, your high valued products, can be exported. So they stay in Singapore. So what do we do? Yeah. So that's the next aspect. So for us, we actually turn the trash into cash. All right. So next slide, please. All right. So in early days, we had a lot of, still have land scarcity. Okay. We are very dense. In fact, if you look at it, we are even denser than Hong Kong. All right. So I'm quite sure some of you have been to Hong Kong. Okay. 90% of our food is imported, even our electricity. Even if all of Singapore was converted to solar panels, it's not going to meet our energy needs. Okay, so therefore we have to start looking at it. We need to go and adopt the circular economy, because quite frankly for us, we have no choice. All right. So we started way back in 1968, where we had the Keep Singapore Clean campaign, with our Lee Kuan Yew, sweeping the roads and everything. Boss has to show the example. I can do it, then you can do it. Okay, so example is very good. All right, next slide. And we're still having the Keep Singapore Clean campaign every year. We started with the zero waste master plan, and then again, as we go along, we evolve. The aim is to have a recycling rate of 70%. Quite frankly, we are not going to make it. All right. Again, I've told that to our NEA, but everybody keeps quiet, so I must be right. Yeah, it's true. So what happens now is that our actual recycling rate is actually overall average 52%. So how can you improve from 52 to 70, in the remaining 5 years? Okay, so in spite of that, we still are trying. Then we have the Resource Sustainability Act of 2019, and we have actually put in mandatory packaging, reporting, and waste, food segregation, disposal, carrier bag. That's actually been quite good. Beverage return, we have a problem trying to set it up, because we've always had been a linear economy, and because space is quite expensive in Singapore, even if you all return, where do we keep? So we have to try to develop that. And I know that they are struggling because the launch of that has officially been postponed a couple of times. All right, that means they're not gonna. They're trying to set up the system. All right. So again, one of the other green things is that we also try to increase the number of trees. So we have that million trees thing, so that every household will be within 10 minutes of a park. Okay. So of course we try to go to the point that early stage, Singapore is a garden city. Then we have a city in a garden, but now we are a garden, a city in nature. We actually have more nature theme environment. It's quite good. So it's not just a matter of planting more trees. All right. Next slide. Okay. Yeah. So it's coming along. It's actually quite good. Okay. So now we are actually doing major countrywide plus nexus and integrated waste and water treatment facilities like over 10 years ago. We're still doing it. Some of that obviously are already in place. Okay, then we have, and this is the big problem, Semakau landfill, we only have one landfill. So it's about to be filled up by 2035. We have actually done this major cleanup, the Singapore River cleanup in 10 years. So we managed to do that. We moved a lot of dirty industries out of the areas, out to the rural, very far away in what we call the western part. You just have to do it and clean up. And it's in one sense better because when you start, you don't want to try improve a brownfield. And we managed to obviously make a new area so it becomes a green field and you install new systems in place. So our river is obviously, those who have been to Singapore, is actually quite clean. Then we had reverse vending machines. That's been working, but the problem is that it becomes an economic problem. In the reverse vending machine, if you put in a plastic bottle, for example, you get 10 cents. All right. But if you put, there was one supplier who put in, okay, I'll give 50 cents. So suddenly they had too many bottles. Then, oh really? That's good. But the problem then they stop the scheme. All right. Because they're losing money. So at a certain point, what's a good margin to put in is without losing money. All right. So obviously, like anything else, we raise the money, the people will become more efficient. All right. And now we have the problem I've been working on is the food waste valorization. Big word is at hawker centers. So Singapore food waste recycling is only like 18%. Okay, next please. Okay, so this one is one of the big projects, mega. So on the phase one side, we actually have deep tunnels that take our sewage and everything else to the left, to the eastern side where Changi Airport is, right? Then on this side that's going on is from this side, including from the city area. So it's very important. Then we actually keep everything going underground. So that's like, I think I have somewhere here about 40 to 50 meters underground. So imagine how deep they are. Okay, so next slide. Yeah, we do have obviously strong government leadership and funding. There are funds like the 3R fund, which actually even industry can tap on. We also do co-funding. And of course, for us, it's important to support projects on waste reduction and reuse. Okay. And other things is like public awareness campaigns. We actually have it every year. And in between, there are mini campaigns also. We are also trying to now include a lot of AI, analytics, smart bins, and so forth. And a couple of weeks ago, we were actually launching our first sort it out campaign, because no point dumping everything, even if it's clean, and then somebody comes along with dirty plastic bag and food bags and throw in, so it's all contaminated. All right. So that's very good. They actually have sensors. You can actually sense how much volume goes in. And some of the more advanced ones can actually tell you and data analyze it as you throw in what it is, the weight and the composition. So if it's a can or even a plastic bag. Yeah, next slide. Well, again, this is the problem. This is our Pulau Semakau. It's going to be full 2035. We have a very low recycling rate, domestic recycling rate, 12%. In that sense, for us, it's quite problem because this is really food waste contaminated with everything else. All right. Our overall, is 52. And that was 57 the previous year. So instead of going up, it's going down. Okay. The contamination rate is actually 40%. In anything contamination, 40% is very high. So one of the problems is that Singapore doesn't have a domestic industry for recyclables. So everything is exported. All right. So even the paper, we need to find somewhere whether we export it to China or Indonesia and so forth. We're just too small. It's not cost effective. Next slide. All right. Here, okay, I've mentioned we are having a lot of AI and IoT. Now, a lot of them have been launched out. So we will see who gets the better design eventually. So this is going to be real life. We do have high efficiency waste to energy plants. I think we have 4 now. Okay. And they're working on the one more, which is actually, I think, the world's biggest incineration plant. I think about 3,600 tons per year, per day, sorry. Okay. Now, we've actually also tried to decentralize a lot of this recycling in the sense that you pay more attention, then hopefully people will start to pay more attention, literally, then they can see the issue at hand. Okay. The other point is circular product design. This is something that's been actually taught in our universities and polytechnics because they have to design it for easier recycling. And at the same time, when you design it better, you will use lower amounts of resources. All right. Next slide. This one is something that I can say I did. Our food waste itself is a problem because much as everybody wants to do that, it's actually 17.5. And again, you can see where we had our COVID, it's gonna dip. It's quite obvious because our food production goes down. We export everything. And we even, export. We actually have we are a major producer of milk powder, but we have no cows. Yes, but we import the milk powder and we add more stuff. Just like we have no oil field, right? We don't have oil, but we import obviously oil and we refine and we export. But all that you can export, fine. But what happens to the waste product? You have to settle it with your own country. All right. So this is a problem. We are actually trying to improve, but the more we export, the more waste we produce, which is a bit of a dilemma. Next slide, please. All right, this is actually officially the company that pays me. Okay. So here we have 8,000 square meters. We recycle animal feed, for example. That's actually milk powder. Yes. We actually send it to Malaysia to become animal feed. Spent grains, that's milk, liquid milk. We even destroy spent grains. Sorry, that's actually beer. And that's soft drinks. We make compost. We make 20 to 30 tons a day. All right. But at the same time, we have a lot of food waste literally from the wet markets. That's actually bread in the corner. We receive over 20 tons of bread every day. Fundamentally, it was yesterday's bread. Because in the supermarkets, you will never find bread that has yesterday's date, even though you don't throw away your bread after you buy it. But that's the problem with a first world company in a country. All right. And in this case, for example, we have 8,000 square meters. And we also do industrial recycling. Steel, any kind of components that we can resell and export. Right, even old motors, pumps. Next slide, please. Yeah. So in this case, this is actually quite important. That's something that I'm working on personally with an Australian company, and I will most likely talk about it tomorrow. This is actually a small-scale decentralized biomass-based energy platform, a mini power station. All right. It's very unique. It has no electrical components. It has no electronics. It has no batteries. and it makes energy. All right. So energy from agri waste and food products. So this machine, we call it the cobber, is actually a bit bigger than the table that you're at. All right. So essentially, there was a prototype. I came in at this stage. All right. And I've tested it in Australia and also in India. Fundamentally, from any kind of biomass, you combust it and you can get electricity, steam, hot air, hot water, mechanical action, all of which makes it a lot more efficient than a genset. And you're getting 4.5 kilowatt AC, not DC. Right? And your source of energy is wood or any biomass. So you don't have to worry about your diesel because your wood is lying out in the sun, it's still there. So it has changed the outlook of how you generate energy in the rural context. In the first world, actually, this machine can be used for what we call space heating, because you generate heat and they have to keep warm. We have to keep colder. But actually, space heating is actually vital for them. So it's a different way of making, instead of one giant, powerful, 1,000 megawatt cogen plant, you make thousands of small little ones that can be distributed to very rural communities. That's the way we see the version, All right, next. We have actually the Eco Fund. That's actually very, very good for us to work things at the ground level. Okay, so what to do? We are struggling with the producer responsibility, because then you are going to tax the producers. So obviously everybody is trying to avoid being taxed. All right. So this is a problem for them to take responsibility of what they have been gaining over the decades. Scale out waste valorization. This is also a bit of a struggle because we are an expensive place to try out. Again, like I said, for this domestic recycling, it's a problem. We don't have actually a market that can actually remake everything. Nothing at all. Especially when you look at it, that we are quite practical. Why do you want to put your money as a banker into a recycling plant when you can put it in a condominium or shopping mall? More guaranteed, right? And you have an asset that's proven. So we have quite pragmatic reasons. Okay. So we are, second in the best city in the world, but it doesn't mean that, we should continue. We're just trying. Okay. All right. And that's about it. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Ong. This is how rich country do business. He just revealed that how we become rich. What he say? Export everything. Thank you very much for the business secret. But we have to go for the last presentation of another rich country of my own kababayan, Dr. Ji-hye from KAI. Thank you very much for coming.
Hello. Kumustapo? Yeah, Kumustapo. Yeah, is it correct pronunciation? Yeah, okay. Yeah, I'm Ji-hye from the Korea Environment Institute. It's a great pleasure to be here as a speaker at this seminar to discuss advancing circular economy for resilient tomorrow. I would like to express my sincere appreciation to AKC and FAMS for organizing this timely and meaningful program. Korea is continuously striving to transition to a circular economy. Various national strategies and plans are being established to actively the circular economy. Today, I will present the key updates and policy directions to accelerate the circular economy in Korea. As carbon neutrality becomes the new international norm, the circular economy is attracting attention in connection with supply chain management, digitalization, and international standardization. As shown in this figure, 45% global greenhouse gas emissions are associated with products. Therefore, the circular economy can play an important role in achieving net zero emissions by promoting resource efficiency and circularity throughout the entire product life cycle. The chart shows Korea's waste management and circular economy policies have developed over time. Initially, the main focus was on safe waste treatment, starting with the Waste Control Act in 1986. Over the next decades, the emphasis shifted toward recycling, introducing systems like the volume-based waste fee system and extended producer responsibility (EPR), which helped improve waste separation and recycling. Around 2016, Korea entered a new phase, focusing on resource circulation and the circular economy to encourage a sustainable use of materials. Last year, Korea enacted the Act on Promotion of Transition to Circular Economy and Society. In other words, Circular Economy Society Act, replacing the previous framework Act on Resource Circulation. One of Korea's most impactful waste management policies is the volume-based waste fee system, introduced in 1995. This system requires residents to pay for waste disposal based on the volume of waste they generate. The system has encouraged households to reduce waste and improve separation of recyclable. Another key policy is EPR system. EPR is a policy approach that requires producers to take responsibility for the collection and recycling of their products and packaging materials for use after use. In Korea, the system was officially launched in 23, replacing the earlier deposit refund scheme that had been in place since 1992. The term circular economy was officially adopted in policy in 2020. The promotion of the circular economy was highlighted as one of the 10 key tasks in the 2050 carbon neutrality strategy announced in December 2020. Following this, the Korean K Circular Economy Action Plan, which serves as the framework for the circular economy that was introduced in 2021. And the Circular Economy Society Act, the legal basis of circular economy, has been enforced since last year. Now, Ministry of Environment is currently preparing its first circular economy based plan for 2027 to 2036. As the term Promotion Act suggests, this law includes various policies to facilitate the transition to a circular economy. With the previous framework on resource circulation focused on post-management of waste, the Circular Economy Society Act extends the scope to the entire life cycle of waste resources. This aims to maximize the value of resources while minimizing environmental impact. Furthermore, the term circular raw materials has been introduced, expanding the concept to include recycled materials that replace natural resources. The Ministry of Environment plans to implement various support programs to promote the use of circular raw materials. In addition, Article 17 and 20 newly introduced the provisions on eco-design and the right to repair, respectively. Going forward, policies will aim to ensure that circularity and repairability are considered from the product design stage. Furthermore, the system has been introduced to designate certain substances or items as circular resources. If it is determined that excluding them from the waste categories would more effectively promote circular use. Once designated, these materials are no longer subject to waste regulations. Typical examples include waste paper, metal, scrap metal, and used battery from electric vehicle. In addition, a regulatory sandbox system has been introduced for various new technologies and services related to circular economy activities, supporting the creation of new markets. Let me begin by emphasizing a key message. 80% of products' environmental impact is determined at the design stage. This means that product design is at the core of the circular economy. This act includes provisions to promote the circular use of products at the production stage. According to the Article 17 of the R Act, producers or importers all products are encouraged to consider the use of circular raw materials, durability and the ease of repair, the possibility of circular use in the entire process, and the impact of carbon emissions. Korea is promoting sustainable product design as a new strategic approach for corporate management across the entire product cycle. To promote the use of circular materials, the government is providing support not only for R&D but also market development, export assistance, workforce training, and the establishment of statistical data systems. Under the Korean Circular Economy Implementation Plan, 7 resources-intensive items with significant environmental impact are being managed as key priorities. Among these, today's presentation will focus on introducing circular economy policies related to plastics and EV batteries. In August this year, INC 5.2 of the Plastics Treaty will be held in Geneva, as Chairman mentioned before. To address the global issue of plastic waste, Korea is focusing on waste reduction at the source. In particular, initiatives are underway to promote the use of reusable containers as an alternative to single-use products. Additionally, Korea is working to reduce overpacking to reduce the amount of packaging waste generated in distribution. From a recycling perspective, there is also an emphasis on promoting the conversion of plastic waste into higher value material resources. Korea has adopted a grading system to evaluate the recyclability of packaging materials. This system assesses the recyclability of products every year, following a plan that is updated every 3 years. As part of this process, The system provides recommendations for improvement. It checks the implementation status and disclose the evaluation results in line with the established plan. Recycled materials can play an important role in completing the closed loop by connecting upstream and downstream industries. In Korea, efforts are being made to expand the recycled material market. For recycled material to become a preferred choice for users, it is important to guarantee their availability and supply stability while also enhancing their price competitiveness. The standard of recycled materials applicable to food containers was developed, and the system is in place to indicate the percentage of recycled content in packaging products. And measures such as the establishment of the certification and the tracking system for recycled materials are being pursued to further activate the market. In the petrochemical sector, there is a strong focus on converting waste plastics into high-value raw materials. To enable the use of pyrolysis oil from waste plastics, producing a key feedstock for plastic manufacturing, new categories and detailed standards for recycling have been established under the Waste Control Act. The government is expanding R&D support to advance pyrolysis technology, and local governments are also increasing the number of pyrolysis facilities. Korea's first basic plan for marine waste and marine contaminant residue management focus on preventing marine waste, improving collection and transport, promoting treatment and recycling, strengthen management, infrastructure, and raising public awareness. The Korean government is working to foster the post-use battery industry by establishing regulation systems and infrastructure, as well as integrated management system for used batteries. Now, I will briefly introduce the Korean government's new national strategy for battery circular utilization, which was announced in May this year. Due to the increasing uncertainty in the global trade environment, it is important to promote battery circular utilization to build a stable supply chain for raw materials and support continuous growth for the battery and EV industries. In Korea, strategies have been established in four key areas to further promote the circular use of batteries, including reuse and recycling. First, the goal is to create the market for circular use and to secure a stable supply of recycled resources. To the end, the financial support will be provided for technological innovation and strengthening industrial competitiveness. In addition, Korea emphasizes the data management essential for circular use, including circular design of batteries. I'd like to highlight some key points among these strategies. In particular, Korea is developing the methodology this year to certify recycled materials from batteries. Moreover, to secure recyclable resources, the scope of EPR for electrical and electronic products will be extended from the current 50 items to cover all product categories, including battery containing products that have not been managed until now. Indonesian technological development and financial support will be provided to enhance the competitiveness of the battery recycling industry. Furthermore, demonstration facilities will be supported through the battery resource circulation cluster. Korea will also promote circular design principles, encouraging many manufacturers to design batteries for durability, repairability, and recyclability. To support this, the recyclability assessment framework will be introduced. Lastly, Korea is building a battery life cycle information management system through tracking materials and performance data through the digital platform. The last slide. The digital-based battery life cycle history management system is currently under development. It's similar to EU TPP, battery passport. It's an integrated information system that tracks and manages battery data throughout its entire life cycle. Initially, individual system will be established by each ministry by next year. In the second phase, this system will be integrated by 2027. Going forward, as various policies from different ministries become increasingly interconnected, including efforts for data standardization, interoperability, and enhanced support for SMEs, inter-ministerial cooperation and effective governance will be crucial. Moreover, in December last year, the Korean taxonomy was revised to include many circular economy activities such as eco-design. In the product stage, key activities include production of recycled raw materials and circular resources, etc. Finally, with the framework for the circular economy now in place, it has become crucial to develop methodologies for assessing and certifying circularity. In particular, there is a need for international cooperation on how to define the scope of recycled material, how to certify them, how to calculate carbon footprint, and how to evaluate criteria such as durability and repairability. Therefore, opportunities like today's seminar, where we can share information and best practices from each country are extremely important. I look forward to continued collaboration in various areas of the circular economy. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Cho. This is my first time hearing recycling about the batteries. Korea is a very complicated country. They are processing a lot of battery-run cars. And you know what I mean? You have to import Korean cars because we have a sophisticated battery management system. So, we have this afternoon, we heard that 6 countries' policy and action on circular economy. What we see is that there are various, some differences in developmental status depending on the economic status. So I think what we learned from here is that we have lots of things to develop in the future because we have to have in mind that this plastic the waste, including plastic, inherently don't have any value. The government job is to give a value. How? You know, what I learned from the presentation here is that we have a carbon taxation. So when you recycle and circular economy, decarbonization is a key. So you have a one incentive to provide. So utilizing carbon fund. And the other incentive you might get is using EPR. So you have to utilize EPR law, and then you have to incentivize the recycling industry. So it is your government job to make the waste into valuable item, because the current economy system, we cannot. It's not viable, and we cannot do it. So I hope the government participant here, you have to learn from the sessions and then from the other countries, and let's give a value. We call it valorization. Oh, very difficult, but we give a value to the waste. Your Excellency, let me close the session. Thank you very much for the speakers and the listeners. I hope you learned a lot today. Thank you very much.